Welcome to the episode of Government and Taxes, children. This is Unit 4. Today we are going to learn about how taxes are levied and how the government is going to earn a revenue from the taxes. Taxes are levied by the government for the development of the state economy, because the economy has to be improved. So, for that reason government has to earn money. It cannot go and work and all. If you are an individual, you can go and work, but how can a government go? So, for that reason tax has been levied on the people. With the help of the taxes, government will give the earn the revenue. Next is the revenue of the government. It depends upon two different things. One is direct taxes, another is indirect taxes. So, taxes has been divided as direct taxes and indirect taxes. What is direct taxes? Direct taxes are levied on the income of the person. What is indirect taxes? Indirect taxes are levied on the goods and services produced by a country. That alone you know. Okay. So, by which the country which mobilizes the financial resources through this direct taxes and indirect taxes, government mobilizes the financial resources. Next is how the government is going to play a very important role in the development of this economy, because the economy has to be improved, and what are the policies that has been framed by the government in order to develop the economy or the policies. First is defense is very essential. Why it is very essential? Because the security of a country is very important. So, the security function has to protect the nation, and also the citizen of the country has to be protected from the enemy. So, defense is the first and foremost essential security that has to be given by the government to the citizens. So, the government has framed a policy for defense. Next is they are going to utilize the same revenue for foreign policies. What is foreign policies? You must have always a friendly relationship. We would have learnt about this in globalization, isn't it? What is globalization? You have to trade with other countries also, because we cannot have all the food materials in our country itself, which can be produced in our own country. So, for that reason the foreign we have to depend upon other countries also. So, you must have a friendly relationship with all the other countries in the world through exports and imports. So, the taxes which has been levied on the citizen, the revenue which is got through taxes is utilized for the foreign policy. First is defense, next is foreign policy. Third one is the conduct of periodic elections. Why you must have elections? You must have representatives, because when we talk about democracy, each and every person we have got our own freedom to speak, to learn, to do our fundamental rights, isn't it? You would have learnt about fundamental rights. All these things you have to take into consideration. So, for that we must have some representative. If you are going to talk about the Prime Minister, you must know how this Prime Minister has been elected, isn't it? You must be knowing. You would have learnt in your lower classes about the election part of it, how he has been elected, or you will be learning it in your civics part of it, how this Prime Minister is elected, or the president is elected, or the chief minister is elected. Through they are going to represent the citizen of the country, because when you talk about the government part of it, or when you want to have a domination of your country, what you have to do, all the citizens they cannot go and take part in the government in constitution, or you cannot go and take part in the judicial part of it. So, for each and everything we need a representative. So, we have to conduct the elections. Periodic elections has to be conducted. For that government needs some money. Where will the government go? So, they will impose tax. Through the tax they will get the revenue. With the help of that revenue they will be conducting the periodic elections, and then the person who is being elected will represent the government, okay, will represent the people, and on behalf of the people he will be representing the government. Next is you must have law and order. When we say defense, there itself you must have law and order. Without law and order, because you have to follow, each and every citizen has to follow the law and order. Both the central and the state government should enact different laws to protect the rights, properties of the citizen, rights as well as the properties of the citizens. that is the union government, it administers the judicial part of it. You can go to the court of law, you have got different courts, high court, supreme court, civil courts, consumer courts, all those courts are there. So, it is operated through government only. How it is operated, how they are paying the salary to the judicial part of it, or how they are paying to the government servant, only through our taxes. So, the revenue which is being earned through taxes is being paid, the salary has been paid to the person who is protecting the citizen of the country through judicial system. Next, the state government, it administers the police force. Even we would have known that police is very important, isn't it? So, when we talk about the judicial part of it is taken out by the union government and the police force is taken out by the state government. Why they have separated these two? Judicial and the police are the same, but when we talk about the real administration part of it, judicial system is different and the police system is different. So, judicial system is taken up by the union government or the central government and the police force is taken up by the state government. Next, we will talk about the role of government, how they are going to have a development in these policies. That is, next is public administration and the provision of goods. Provision of goods means here what, as we would have spoken, how in food and security part of it, we would have spoken how the food has been distributed to public distribution system, PDS, isn't it? We spoke about food security. To the same way, here also the government plays a very important part and wherein it administers various departments like schools, hospitals and revenue departments. The government, local government, it provides public goods like local roads, drainage, drinking water and waste collection. All that has to be taken into consideration, isn't it? Daily we are going to the schools and we are utilizing hospitals nowadays very frequently, and we have, where will the government supply the medicines? They are saying it is free of cost. How can medicine be a free of cost over there? Because it has to, the revenue has to be given. You cannot get a free of cost. It is given, government is giving to the citizen as free of cost, but they will be buying, they will be incurring the money. So, where this money will come from? The money will come from the revenue which has been collected through taxes. So, they will have the, you want new roads to be placed, isn't it? When the new roads are placed, local roads are placed. When local roads are placed, especially during election time, they will be placing new roads and all, isn't it? So, when they have this local roads, where will they give the money from? Where will they get the money from to get all those production? So, what they will do? They will use this taxes, the money which is got through taxes will be utilized for placing the local roads. Next, you have to give them, the drainage system has to be taken up properly because it may create more disease. So, it has to be handled properly. So, for this also the government has to expend something. So, the revenue which is being got through the taxes will be expended for drainage system and drinking water and also for waste collection. So, this is the government, how it plays a role in the, how they are going to administer the public, then how they will be providing the goods and services to the public. Next is redistribution of income and poverty alleviation. What is poverty here? Poverty is nothing but, நம்ம தமிழில் சொல்லும்போது வறுமை கோடு அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். அந்த வார்த்தை நீங்கள் கேள்விப்பட்டிருப்பீங்க இல்லையா? வறுமை கோட்டு கீழ் வாழும் மக்கள் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். Poverty alleviation. Alleviation means where there is no poverty at all. No country wants any people to be very poor. It is very important for a government to take care of the citizen that they do not have any insufficiency at all. When there is only insufficiency, you will be having poverty in the country. So, they do not want to have any poverty in the country, whichever country it is. Okay. So, they have to distribute the income accordingly, so that even the poor people will be benefited. So, what will happen? They collect it from the people who are earning high income and they can get more revenue from them and they will spend it for the poor, like food, like their shelter and their education and their clothing also. So, that all these things, that is, they must have a balance between the rich and the poor. Because when we talk about our country, there is always a gap between a rich and a poor. We always used to speak. So, this gap has to be fulfilled. How they are going to fulfill this gap? Only through collection of taxes. So, the government will interfere, they will collect the taxes from the person who is earning a high income. Through that revenue, they will be providing the poor people with food, shelter, clothing, and also their education also will be taken into consideration. Next is how to regulate the economy. Economy has to be regulated, isn't it? We must have some rules and regulations to follow. Only then we will be able to guide, that is the government can run. If not, just like that you just open, okay, you can do whatever you like, you just leave it like that, no one will be able to control the government. Even the government has to be controlled. Even the tax which has been collected has to be spent properly, it has to be guided properly. So, for that what will they do? They have to regulate the economy. How are they going to regulate? What are the policies that has to be regulated for the government? These policies has given to the government by RBI, the union government through RBI. It controls the supply of money and also interest rates, inflation and foreign exchange rate. The RBI has a very great role to be played here for regulating the economy. What will the RBI do? RBI, it will control the supply of money, because the supply of money has to be controlled. It has to regulate, because for this much of when you take into consideration the census will be taken. According to the census, what is the income of the people, how many people are aged, what are the age group between the children, who are all very aged person, very old person, who are all earning person, who are all not non-earning person. All these things has to be taken into consideration. That is why they take up a census. With the help of this census, what will they do? The RBI will control the supply of money, and also it takes up the role of playing where you want to have a interest rate. What interest rate? When I deposit a money to the bank, I get some interest from the bank, isn't it? I keep a bank account. For what reason? I must earn something for the future, so that my future will be safeguarded. So, what will I do? That interest rate will be taken up, or the responsibility of fixing the interest rate will be taken up by the RBI, and also it will take into consideration, or it has got a responsibility of inflation also. What is inflation? Where the prices will go down. When the prices goes down, what will happen? The demand will start increasing. When the demand increases, you have to have your supply also at the same time. Next, we will go on to the foreign exchange rate. What is foreign exchange rate? When we do some imports and exports through SEBI. SEBI is Securities Exchange Board of India. Okay, what will they do? With this help of SEBI, they will control the rates, exchange rates. Our money has to be exchanged for the foreign currencies, isn't it? So, that rate will be controlled by the SEBI through RBI. So, now we must know what is tax, how this tax has come into existence. The origin of tax is in the form of taxation, which means it is an estimate. Tax is nothing but estimate. ஒரு estimate போடுறது. இப்போ நம்ம நம்ம கிட்ட காசு இருக்குது அப்படின்னா அந்த காசுக்குள்ளார நம்ம என்ன பண்ண முடியும் அப்படின்னு ஒரு எஸ்டிமேட் போடுறோம் இல்லையா, அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு எஸ்டிமேட் போடுறதுக்கு பேர் டேக்ஸின் பேர். அண்ட் இட் மீன்ஸ் பை விச் த கவர்மெண்ட் மேக்ஸ் த finance of their expenditure, so that with this estimation the government will spend money to the people of the country. The main purpose of taxation is to accumulate funds for the functioning of the government. The government has to function. As stated earlier, the government needs money. Where will it get? It cannot go and work. If I am an individual, I will go and work and then I will get money. But the government cannot go and work. So, what is the purpose of taxation? It has to accumulate the funds. That is, it has to get funds. Accumulate means here get the funds through taxation, and the government has to function. Next is, the taxes are compulsory payments to the government without expectation of direct return or benefit to the taxpayer. That is, we would have already got the benefit. I cannot go and help directly. Or I do not know. See, for example, a person who is earning too much, that is, we will take into consideration Tata, Birla, the person who have been spoken about earning a very high income, isn't it? So, these people, they will not be knowing the people who are earning very low income, and they cannot go and extend help to them. So, for that reason, what they will do? They should pay tax. So, the word should be used over there. They should pay tax, so that this tax will be utilized for the purpose by the government. Through government, they will be helping the poor people or the people who is earning a low income. Taxes system are there, that is, it has to maintain some equality, some certainty, and then economy of convenience has to be taken into consideration, and productivity and elasticity. This tax system, you just go through this tax system and you just learn it, that is all. When you go in for higher classes, you will be able to have a detailed explanation of this. So, canons of equity means you have to maintain an equity, as stated earlier, the rich and the poor has to be balanced, that is equity. The canon of certainty means you should pay the tax. I told you, no, that insistent that each and every person who is earning an income, high income which has been earned by him, has to be spent. So, he cannot spend on its own. So, for that reason, that certainty is there that you have to pay the tax, and the tax which has been collected has to be spent by the government with all the convenience. For all the conveniences, they have to spread the income, not only for one particular department, only for drainage system or only for food or only for education. They cannot split like that. For everything they have to take into consideration. So, that is known as economy of convenience. Next is they should know the canons of productivity and elasticity. What is productivity here? You must know what should be produced, how it should be produced, and when it should be distributed. And what are the elasticity? What is the way in which you will be very flexible? Elasticity here means flexible, like a rubber band. Okay, the rubber band is very flexible, isn't it? So, like rubber band, it should be the taxation must be very flexible. Next, why should we pay taxes? What is the reason why we should pay taxes? We should pay taxes because it is called as a fiscal capacity. What is fiscal here? Fiscal means nothing but the monetary term. Okay, it is called as a fiscal capacity of the government. It is the ability of the government to have this capacity. Every government, each and every government must have the ability to raise the taxes, and it is called the fiscal capacity of the government. Next is the funds which has been raised through this taxes is utilized for transportation, sanitation, public safety, education and healthcare. So, with the help of this taxes only, all these things are provided to the government. Through government, the people is enjoying all these things. They are enjoying the transportation, they are enjoying sanitation, they are enjoying public safety, and they are enjoying the education, and healthcare also is taken into consideration. So, taxation in India has its roots from the period of Manusmriti and Arthashastra. This Arthashastra has been formed by a person called Kautilya during the region of Chandragupta. Okay. With the help of these two things only, we started imposing the taxes. Okay. Next is, what are the different types of taxes? We would have learned main two different of taxes is direct taxes and indirect taxes. Under direct taxes means a tax which is imposed on an individual or an organization which is paid directly and is known as a direct taxes. That is, it is levied on me and I myself will pay the tax. That is known as direct taxes. That is, if I am going to pay an income tax, that is known as a direct tax. That is the income that has been earned by me, and for that income I am going to pay the tax to the government. Why should I pay? It is my income. I am earning, I am suffering, I go for a job, I spend my knowledge, I spend my skill, then why should I pay taxes? Because the government has the interference of, that is, the public has, the interest of the public has to be taken into consideration. So, for that reason the taxes will be levied on a person, especially for the income, not for all the people, not for low income people. They will have a tabular column, you will be learning it in your higher classes. According to the taxation or the fixation of the taxation will come through RBI. So, taxes which has been imposed on an individual and he himself will be paying. நானே வருமானம் சம்பாதிச்சு அந்த வருமானத்துக்கு பணம் கட்டினா, கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு கட்டினா, அதுக்கு பேரு direct taxes. So, the definition has been given for tax. What is it? According to J.S. Mill, he has defined the direct tax is one which is demanded from every person who is intended or desired should pay it. So, that should is very important. That word should is very important because there is no exemption at all. You cannot just escape. So, evasions are not available. You should pay the tax because you are earning more than what is essential for you. So, with the help of this, the government will be getting the revenue. Some direct taxes are income tax, wealth tax and corporate tax. So, we will learn what is income tax. What is income tax, which is very most common and important word which has been spoken in our day to day life. Everyone will say we are paying income tax, income tax. So, what is this? That is the rate at which it is charged will differ according to the income that has been earned by one single person, one individual. Okay. If I am going to earn more than the scale, as I stated earlier, if I am going to earn more than the scale that has been fixed by the government, then I have to pay the tax. That is known as the income tax, because that has been imposed on me and I myself will pay the tax. Next is wealth tax. What is wealth tax? If I am going to own a property, it is a wealth for me. So, for that I have to pay the tax to the government. This tax is levied on an individual, companies, and it has been taxed every year. It will be taxed and it depends upon the market value of your wealth. What wealth you are having, according to that the value will depend upon the market value of the wealth and is being levied on one individual or a company. Next is corporate tax. What is corporate tax? That is when the companies exist in a separate entities. What is separate entities? When a company has been registered under the Companies Act of 2013, especially it is now 2030. That is when you can start a company, but we have to register it for your benefit, isn't it? When you register it, then it will have a separate entity. Separate entity means what? The company can go on, it can live on its own. It is not dependent on the person who has started. That is known as separate entity. இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் கிளியராக உங்களுக்கு சொல்லணும் அப்படின்னா, ஃபஸ்ட்டு வந்து உங்களுக்கு வந்து டாட்டா குரூப்ஸ் எல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ the person who has started is not alive. Okay, that person is not alive. So, when he is not alive, even now we have got that company. You would have learnt about this Paris chocolate, Paris sugars and all. This isn't it? Paris sugar எல்லாம் இப்போ ரொம்ப ரீசெண்டாக டிவிலெலாம் ஆட் காட்டுறாங்க. அந்த Paris sugar, Paris chocolates, Paris chocolates இப்போ வருதுல, ceramics வருது, tiles வருது, இதெல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா this company has been started by a Britisher. Okay, EID Parryங்கிறவர் தான் இது ஆரம்பிச்சது. It is started by a Britisher, but still we are having this company in our country, in our own country. Even though it has been started by a British English person, we are having the company in our own country, which means what? He has registered this company through Companies Act. Okay, which has been registered. So, that is why even if the person who has started the company is not alive, the company can go on its own. It has got a separate entity, separate existence. The company can live on its own. It is not dependent on the person who has started. Person may differ, men may come, men may go, but the company goes on forever. This and all you will be learning it in your higher studies, but then too I am telling you so that you will be able to hear it and then you can understand it. So, even those companies where they have got a separate entity, they have to pay tax to the government. Next is, in India, we collect more tax revenues through indirect taxes. More than direct taxes, we collect through indirect taxes. What are the indirect? The major indirect taxes are especially through GST. So, now we will learn what is indirect taxes. What is an indirect tax? If the burden of the tax has been shifted to others, it is called as indirect tax. What I spoke about direct taxes, when you are going to have the tax to be paid by your own self. You are earning it and you are paying the tax. So, that is known as direct tax. What is indirect tax? The burden is somewhere else, but it has been shifted to some other person. For example, the taxpayer is not the tax bearer. Taxpayer will be some other person, tax bearer will be some other person. So, what are the examples of this indirect taxes? Stamp duty, entertainment tax, excise duty, goods and services tax. These are the main indirect taxes. Entertainment tax உங்களுக்கு எல்லாருக்கும் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும். மூவி டிக்கெட்ஸ் அதெல்லாம் வாங்குறோம்ல, அப்போ அந்த டிக்கெட் எல்லாம் வாங்கும்போது அதுக்கு இன்க்ளூசிவ் ஆஃப் ஆல் taxes அப்படின்னு போட்டிருப்பாங்க. Whatever product you buy a pencil, you buy a toothpaste, you buy a powder, you buy a soap, whatever thing you are going to buy for your own consumption inclusive of all taxes ன்னு போட்டிருப்பாங்க. அந்த taxes யார் மேலே கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க? அந்த செல்லர் மேலே. ஆனால் அந்த செல்லர் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க? நம்மக்கிட்டேருந்து வாங்கிப்பாங்க. அந்த ப்ரைஸ்க்குள்ளார அந்த டேக்ஸை இன்க்ளூட் பண்ணிப்பாங்க. மறைமுகமாக வாங்கப்படுகிறது. ஸோ தட் இஸ் known as indirect tax. That is why we say the taxpayer is not the tax bearer. Tax will be levied on some other person, but it will be paid by some other person. யார் மேலேயோ புகுத்திருப்பாங்க, அந்த பேர்டனை வேற ஒருத்தர் மேலே ஷிஃப்ட் பண்ணுறோம். அதுக்கு பேர் இன்டைரக்ட் டாக்ஸஸ்ன்னு பேர். என்டர்டெயின்மெண்ட் டாக்ஸஸ் நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி மூவி டிக்கெட்ஸு, அம்யூஸ்மெண்ட் பார்க்ஸ் எல்லாம் போகிறோம்ல, குயின் பார்க்கு, குயின்ஸ்லேண்டு இதெல்லாம் போகிறோம்ல, அங்கெல்லாம் டிக்கெட் வாங்குகிறோம்ல, அந்த டிக்கெட்டுக்குள்ளார அந்த பைசாக்குள்ளார டேக்ஸ் வில் பி இன்க்ளூடட். அது நமக்கே தெரியாது. அதே மாதிரி ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் ஈவெண்ட்ஸ் இப்போ நம்ம அந்த கோவிலில் இருக்கிறதுனால நம்ம இதுக்குள்ளார போகிறதில்ல, ஸ்டேடியத்துக்குள்ளார போகாமல் நம்ம ப்ரொடெக்டிவாக உட்காந்துக்கிறோம். பட் இருந்தாலும் கொஞ்சம் பேர் போகிறாங்க. அப்போ அந்த டிக்கெட்ஸ் எல்லாம் நம்ம வாங்கும்போது அந்த டிக்கெட்டுக்குள்ளாரையும் டேக்ஸஸ் இருக்குது. அந்த டேக்ஸஸ்க்கு பேர் இன்டைரக்ட் டாக்ஸஸ்ன்னு பேர். ஸோ இன்டைரக்ட் டாக்ஸஸில் இன்னொன்று எக்ஸைஸ் டியூட்டின்னு சொல்கிறோம். எக்ஸைஸ் டியூட்டினா என்னது? வாட் இஸ் எக்ஸைஸ் டியூட்டி? இட் இஸ் த டியூட்டி த டேக்ஸ் ஹஸ் பீன் லெவிட் ஆன் த மேனுஃபேக்சர்டு குட்ஸ். ஒரு பொருளை உற்பத்தி செஞ்சதுக்கப்புறமா டேக்ஸ் போட்டால் அதுக்கு பேர் எக்ஸைஸ் டியூட்டின்னு பேர். பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் த மூமெண்ட், it has to move from one place to another place. That is, from the part of the production, it has to go to the part of the consumption, isn't it? ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணி ஒரே இடத்துல வச்சுக்க முடியாது. ப்ரொடக்ஷன் பண்ணதை நான் யார்கிட்ட கொண்டு போய் ரீச் பண்ணோம்? என்னுடைய கன்சியூமர்கிட்ட கொண்டு போகணும், கன்சம்ஷனுக்கு யூட்டிலைஸ் பண்ணிக்கிறதுக்கு. அந்த மூமெண்ட்டுக்கு ஐ நீட் சம் டாக்ஸஸ் that has to be paid to the government. So that is known as excise duty. Next we are going to talk about black money and its causes. Black money is funds that has been earned through black market on which the income and the other taxes has not been paid. Tax எப்போ evade பண்ணுறோமோ, எப்போ நம்ம கட்டலையோ, then it becomes a black money. What are the causes? The unaccounted money with the tax administered is called as a black money. What are the causes? Shortage of goods, licensing proceeding, contribution of industrial sector, smuggling and tax structure. Next is tax evasion. What is tax evasion? It is an illegal activity done by an individual, corporate and trust. It includes under-reporting income, inflating deductions or expenses, hiding income, hiding interest in the offshore accounts. Offshore accounts means you will not be showing it in the accounts. Next is tax evasion penalties, where you are going to have a penalty because just because you are tax evaded. நீங்கள் டேக்ஸ் கட்டாதனால உங்களுக்கு ஏதோ பெனாலிட்டிஸ், ஃபைன்ஸ் எல்லாம் போடுவாங்க. என்ன பெனாலிட்டிஸ் போடுறாங்க? imprisonment up to 5 years and a high amount as fine. Next is the defendant may also be ordered to pay for the cost of prosecution. Tax evasion penalties can be harassed depending on the severity of the crime. So we will have a conclusion, children, saying that we would have learnt about what is the government and how the tax has been earned by the government and how it has been spent to the people. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you, children.